Hi everyone, my name is Noah Meehan, and I'm back on the Arc of Truth. And I must say, thank you, Hollywood. Why? Because you're making it easier for us conservatives to win both the culture war and the political war that's going on. Why am I mentioning Hollywood of all places? Well, for two specific events that just happened. One, Alex Jones is basically banned on almost every social media site. I'm not even kidding. Within a span of 12 hours, he's gone off of Twitter, he's gone off of Facebook, he's gone off of YouTube. He's been banned from those places. There are a few other places that he's still allowed. I think it was Blue Crypt. I don't recall. It's another competitor for YouTube, but still, all in the span of 12 hours, that obviously shows that there's someone pulling the strings there and trying to kick Alex Jones off of the internet. Now, if you don't know who Alex Jones is, he is basically a spokesperson. He's kind of a journalist, but he's more like he knows he's trying to make himself look ridiculous, and at the same time, he kind of does that to be investigative. Now, I don't know. I don't really like Alex Jones because of a few things. One, he can be a little provocative. Two, he believes in all the conspiracy crap, like we didn't land on the moon, which we obviously did, and 9/11 is an inside job, which it obviously wasn't. But I have to admit, he has been doing a lot of things that are meme-worthy, and of course, he does capture basically the specific things that's been going on, especially when it comes to the left. A few times there have been a lot of people, basically liberals, who have been saying F you and have been trying to harass these guys who are just trying to yell in their face, scream, that sort of thing. And they have been completely exposing that crap. Second thing is, and this is related to the president, is in Los Angeles there is this Walk of Fame, I think it was, where Donald Trump's star is actually going to be is going to be removed. And it's really stupid, because after all this time, after just 2 years, nearly 2 years into the presidency, we're not near November yet, but not near January, but you get my idea. The left is still obsessing over the idea that if people destroy the star on the Walk of Fame that says Donald Trump, it would suddenly break his ego. Are they serious? Do they think that the president really cares about that? Does he really care about a Walk of Fame star? I mean, he can get a new one, obviously, but no. Obviously, the mayor of Los Angeles thinks that they should remove this star because of Donald Trump's treatment of women, Mexicans, blah 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 blah. It's the same old BS that you hear from the left. Now, I'm saying thank you to Hollywood and to the left for all of this, because in effect, this is actually biting them in the ass. The reason why I say this is because of one thing. Legacy. Yeah, right now, the media is basically under liberal control, and Hollywood is basically under liberal control. So they kind of have the louder voice. But that's only a short-term thing that they're thinking of. They're thinking short-term. They think that if, obviously, they destroy the star, it would just bring down the entire presidency. They don't think in the long term. They don't even think about their own image in the long term. They just think if we destroy the president by any means, then that would make us the heroes. That's not how it works. In the short term, maybe for the next 5 or 10 years. Although with the rapid pace that's going with the alternate media rising, that may be in doubt. But in terms of like 50 or 100 years from now, when we're old men, or even in our graves, history's going to look at us and say that the left was completely in the wrong. That's what's going to happen. In fact, I don't need to really pick out evidence for this, but I will, just for the sake of the left. Abe Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, he is a well-known person who led our country through the biggest crisis ever to have imagined, the Civil War. And he brought the entire country back to being reunited between North and South, and completely ended slavery. Yes, he was shot by John Wilkes Booth, and he did do a few things like the suppression of habeas corpus, but nonetheless, he's still remembered as one of the best presidents we've ever had. Why? Because he kept the country together. Because he emancipated the slaves. Because he advocated for the 13th Amendment and others like that. That's what made him great, and that's why we see him in the positive light. Now, in terms of the opposite effect of a negative legacy, let me show you the Nazis. In fact, that's actually what the left is acting like. Despite the fact that Antifa likes to call people on the right, conservatives, or basically anyone who right of Karl Marx, a Nazi. I'm using the Nazis as an example for a negative legacy. Now, as you already suggest, or as you already know from his history classes, the Nazis, they took over Germany in 1933. They basically controlled the entire country. They went through the Second World War, and at first they had success, but eventually they fell. They were completely wiped out by the Allies and the Soviet Union. They were completely wiped out. Now that's an important thing to talk about. This is an important thing to talk about. The period of time that the Nazis had control, because at the time they had the control of the media. They had control of basically everything. Hitler basically had everyone in his pocket, and all the media, and except the ones that are trying to resist, the people trying to actually resist him and his tyrannical rule. Everything was basically positive for the Nazis. They were gaining positive approval because of all this control and stuff. And this is exactly like the liberal media is doing. But here's the but. Inevitably, the Nazis lost. We already know this from history, but after a long period of time, we still have this idea of the Nazis being the worst of the worst. The worst kind of people ever. Because they commit an atrocity the likes of which we have never seen, except from communist countries, although that's completely a separate issue. I'm trying to focus on the Nazis right now. And they have committed acts of which violate basic freedoms for normal individuals. That is why there's such a negative legacy for their party, and that's why they aren't really gaining any support at all. Because this is still fresh. It's still in the mind of every single human being on the planet that the Nazis are evil. Ever since World War II, we have been implanted this idea of a negative legacy, basically of the Nazi regime being the bad guys. Now, I bring this up because the liberals are exactly thinking like the Nazis. Now, I'm not suggesting at all that liberals are Nazis. Absolutely not. Liberals are center left, and I mean referring to like the far left and the progressives, that sort of thing, and Antifa. That's what I mean. I'm not trying to bash anyone who is basically just a normal center-left person, and just, yeah. I don't mean that. What I mean is, the whole far left, is basically thinking in the short term that if they have everything in the short term, inevitably, they will be the heroes that history will look up to. That is all that they're thinking of. And that is such a stupid concept. Because, again, it's short term. You can easily change a person's mind. In fact, you can change a person's political opinion, you can change a person's religion, or anything. But you cannot change anything about them. You cannot change who they are. That's the problem that the far left has been dealing with. And I don't think that they're going to learn that lesson anytime soon. And that's why I say, thank you, Hollywood, because you're making yourself look like fools. Thank you, far left, because you're actually giving us victories that in the past were hard fought, but now are very, very easy. I am pretty sure that this is biting them in the ass, even to this day. All that's happening is that they are going to eventually be seen as much in the negative light as anyone has ever done. Or how anyone ever has. And Donald Trump, he will be seen more. Kind of like Abe Lincoln. Now, forget whether or not you like or hate the guy. You have to admit, he has been getting things done. And that alone, just trying to do his best to keep the promises that he made, that alone would easily cement him in a positive legacy. And that is the thing that the far left cannot understand. And I don't think they're learning that lesson anytime soon. My name is Nomi, and I'm the Arc of Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, in fact share it, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.